The battlefield was silent, too silent. The air was thick with the scent of scorched metal and burned flesh. Smoke curled up from the wreckage of fallen war machines, their once powerful frames now twisted and broken. In the middle of the chaos stood Ethan Voss, Earth's strongest human, his armor dented, his breathing steady, his hands clenched into fists as he stared at the horizon, where the enemy gathered. The sky above wasn't blue anymore. It was darkened by the shadows of an alien fleet so massive that it blotted out the sun. The Zifran Empire had arrived in full force. Their towering warships hung above the ruined city, glowing with eerie red lights. Their warriors, clad in sleek, black exosuits, stood in formation on the ground, hundreds of them, weapons humming with deadly energy. Ethan exhaled slowly. One man against an entire fleet. The odds were beyond impossible, but he had no choice. Earth had no one else left. A deep, mechanical voice echoed through the ruins. "Human, you are alone. Surrender, and we will grant you a painless death." Ethan cracked his knuckles. "You talk too much." Then he moved. Faster than any normal eye could track, Ethan launched himself forward. The ground beneath his feet cracked, sending debris flying as he closed the distance between him and the first row of alien warriors. His cyber-enhanced strength turned him into a blur, a human-shaped missile of destruction. The first Zifran soldier raised his weapon, too slow. Ethan's fist connected with his helmet, crushing it inward. The alien dropped instantly, lifeless. Before the others could react, Ethan was already in the air, twisting mid-leap. He grabbed an enemy by the arm, yanked him forward, and used his own plasma blade to impale him. The Zifrans were elite warriors, trained for war across countless galaxies, but they weren't prepared for him. The momentary shock wore off, and the aliens retaliated. Energy blasts filled the air, scorching the ground where Ethan had stood just moments ago. He dodged, flipping over a broken transport vehicle, then grabbed a fallen alien rifle. One quick spin, 3 shots fired, 3 enemies down. A massive Zifran war machine stomped forward, a towering mech with twin plasma cannons mounted on its shoulders. It locked onto Ethan, its targeting system glowing bright. Target acquired. Eliminating. Ethan charged straight at it. The mech fired. A burning plasma bolt tore through the air, searing everything in its path. Ethan didn't dodge. He grabbed the corpse of a fallen soldier and used it as a shield, absorbing the blast. Then, before the mech could fire again, Ethan jumped onto its leg, climbing up with unnatural speed. The Zifran pilot inside barely had time to react before Ethan ripped open the cockpit and dragged him out. The alien screamed as Ethan flung him straight into the horde of advancing warriors. The mech, now empty, was his. Ethan seized the controls. The machine's systems resisted for a moment before his neural link forced it into submission. The display inside flickered to life, showing multiple enemy targets locking onto him. Ethan grinned. "Now let's even the playing field." With a flick of his wrist, the mech's plasma cannons roared to life, unleashing hell. Blazing energy rained down on the alien forces, turning the battlefield into an inferno. Zifran soldiers screamed as they were incinerated, their formations breaking apart. The once overwhelming enemy force was now scattering in panic. But it wasn't over. A deep rumbling noise filled the sky. Ethan looked up, just in time to see a Zifran warship descending, its massive cannons charging. The aliens had realized he was a threat. They were going to obliterate the entire battlefield to take him down. Ethan exhaled, tightening his grip on the mech's controls. "All right," he muttered. "Let's see what you've got." The sky trembled as the Zifran warship descended, its colossal frame blotting out what little light remained. Its hull gleamed with alien technology, smooth black metal, pulsing red veins of energy running through it like a living organism. The cannons hummed with an eerie charge, ready to wipe out everything below. Inside the stolen mech, Ethan Voss tightened his grip on the controls. His enhanced reflexes processed the battlefield faster than any human should be able to. He had seconds before the warship fired. The blast radius would obliterate everything within a mile. Think, Ethan. Think. The alien war machine beneath him was heavily damaged, its systems barely holding together. He couldn't outgun a warship. But maybe he didn't have to. A voice crackled in his earpiece, one of the last remaining human resistance fighters. Ethan, that ship's main cannon is locking onto you. You have to move. Ethan's eyes darted to a wrecked human transport not far away. Inside was something useful, something explosive. The warship's cannons flared to life, glowing bright with a charging plasma beam. No more time. Ethan kicked the mech into high gear, its servos screeching as it lurched forward. He jumped from the cockpit mid-run, his enhanced muscles absorbing the impact as he landed on the cracked pavement. The mech kept sprinting toward the warship's targeting system, a decoy that might just buy him a few seconds. Blaster fire tore through the air as the remaining Zifran ground troops opened fire. Ethan rolled, dodging bolts of red energy, and sprinted toward the wrecked transport. Inside, buried under debris, was a payload of seismic charges, enough to level a building. A deafening boom shook the ground. The Zifran warship fired. A beam of pure destruction carved through the battlefield, annihilating the mech in an instant. The shockwave sent Ethan sprawling, heat singing his armor. He barely survived. But he wasn't done yet. Through the smoke and fire, he dragged himself toward the charges, his fingers gripping the controls. His vision blurred for a moment, then refocused. The warship was hovering lower now, scanning for a confirmed kill. Ethan grinned through bloody teeth. Gotcha. With the press of a button, he armed the seismic charges, set a remote detonation timer, then hurled them onto a nearby ruined structure. The Zifran warship, unaware, moved right above it. 5 seconds. The warship's scanners locked onto him again. Ethan stood his ground, watching, waiting. 3 seconds. A Zifran commander barked an order in their guttural tongue. The ship's cannons charged again. 1 second. Boom. The seismic charges detonated, and the entire ruined skyscraper beneath the warship collapsed inward. A shockwave of force and debris ripped through the warship's hull, rupturing its power core. A split second later, KATHOOM. A chain reaction of explosions tore the warship apart midair. Flaming wreckage rained down, crushing Zifran troops and setting the battlefield ablaze. Ethan stumbled back, panting, watching the alien fleet's mighty ship plummet from the sky. The remaining Zifran ground forces hesitated. Their warship was supposed to be unstoppable, but one human had just destroyed it. Ethan wiped blood from his mouth and smirked. Who's next? The aliens didn't flee. Instead, their formations shifted. New units emerged, heavily armored enforcers with energy shields and weapons designed for one purpose: to kill him. Then came the sound Ethan dreaded most, a piercing, mechanical howl. A new enemy descended from the sky, landing in front of him with an impact that cracked the earth. 7 feet tall, draped in obsidian armor, glowing blue veins pulsing with power. The Zifran elite. Faster, stronger, smarter than any soldier he had faced before. Ethan clenched his fists as the elite's visor flickered to life. Human, it growled in perfect English, its voice like grinding metal. Your death is inevitable. Ethan exhaled. Yeah. Come and prove it. The battlefield had gone eerily still. Smoke curled from the wreckage of the fallen Zifran warship, and burning debris crackled in the distance, but Ethan barely noticed any of it. His focus was locked on the towering figure in front of him, the Zifran elite. The alien warrior stood 7 feet tall, its obsidian armor gleaming under the flickering fires around them. Neon blue veins pulsed along its body, surging with energy. Unlike the foot soldiers, this one was different. Stronger, smarter, deadlier. Ethan rolled his shoulders, cracked his knuckles. He had fought monsters before, but this was something else. The elite moved first, In less than a second, it closed the distance between them, its plasma blade igniting mid-swing. Ethan barely dodged as the blade sliced past his face, the heat scorching his cheek. Before he could react, a metallic fist slammed into his chest. Crack! The impact sent Ethan flying backward, his body smashing through a crumbling wall. Dust and debris rained down as he gasped for air. Pain flared through his ribs. At least 2 were broken. The Zifrin elite didn't stop. It was on him again, grabbing him by the throat and lifting him off the ground. "You are not special, human," it growled. "Your kind will be erased." Ethan's vision blurred. His oxygen was running out. His enhanced strength was useless if he couldn't break free. Think. Adapt. Survive. He drove his knee upward, slamming it into the elite's midsection. No effect. The alien didn't even flinch. New plan. Ethan reached for the combat knife strapped to his thigh, and STAB drove it into the elite's exposed neck joint. The alien howled in pain, its grip loosening just enough. Ethan wrenched free and rolled away, coughing as air flooded back into his lungs. The elite ripped the knife out, tossing it aside like a mere inconvenience. Blue blood oozed from the wound, but it kept coming. I can't win this in a straight fight. Ethan needed an opening. Something. Anything. Then he saw it. Behind the elite, still partially intact, was the ruined warship's power core. Its containment field was flickering. Unstable. Perfect. Ethan charge. The elite lunged to intercept. But this time, Ethan anticipated its movements. He feinted left, then suddenly slid right, dodging another deadly slash. Momentum on his side, he sprinted toward the wreckage. The elite realized too late what was happening. Ethan grabbed a severed fuel cable, its end still sparking with residual plasma energy. He yanked hard, ripping it free from the wreckage. Electricity surged through the air. The elite charged, its plasma blade raised for a final strike. Ethan swung the cable. The live wire snapped across the elite's chest, sending thousands of volts of raw energy surging through its body. The alien screamed. Its armor locked up, overloaded. Ethan didn't waste time. He spun behind it, grabbed the stunned warrior, and hurled it straight into the unstable power core. The core flared to life, then detonated. Boom! A shockwave ripped through the battlefield, vaporizing everything within a 20-foot radius. Ethan hit the ground hard, rolling with the blast, his ears ringing. When the dust settled, the Zifrin elite was gone. Nothing remained but scorched metal and crackling flames. Ethan groaned as he pushed himself up. His body ached. His ribs were screaming in pain. But he had won. Or so he thought. A new sound filled the air, a deep, resonating hum. Ethan looked up. The sky was shifting. The Zifrin mothership had arrived. A monstrous leviathan of war, its surface crawling with thousands of enemy troops, its primary weapon glowing like a second sun. Ethan exhaled. This wasn't over. Not yet. The final battle had just begun. The sky darkened as the Zifrin mothership descended, its massive frame blotting out the stars. The ground trembled beneath its sheer presence, and a low, ominous hum filled the air, a sign of its planet-destroying weapon charging up. Ethan wiped the blood from his mouth, his breathing heavy. He had just barely survived the elite, and now he was expected to fight an entire fleet. The mothership's underbelly split open, revealing a colossal orbital cannon, a weapon capable of wiping out entire cities in one blast. Ethan's stomach twisted. If that cannon fired, Earth was finished. A sharp voice crackled in his earpiece. "Ethan, we're still alive down here." It was Commander Reyes, leading the last remnants of humanity's forces. They were battered, broken, but not defeated. Ethan activated his comms. "Listen up. That cannon is about to fire. We have one shot at stopping it. We hit their power conduits. Hard. If we overload them, we might be able to cripple the ship before it wipes us out." "That's suicide," Rise muttered. Ethan smirked. Then we better make it count. The mothership opened fire. Boom! A blinding pillar of energy erupted from its underside, tearing through the battlefield, annihilating anything in its path. Ethan barely dodged, sprinting toward the ruins of a fallen warship. The ground shook violently as debris rained down around him. Time was running out. His eyes locked onto a Zifron dropship, still mostly intact. If he could get inside. Blaster fire erupted as Zifron soldiers descended from the mothership, their eyes glowing with hatred. Ethan didn't slow down. With a single leap, he grabbed the edge of a wrecked transport and flung himself onto the dropship's exterior. He ripped open a side panel, exposing the controls. His fingers flew over the alien interface, overriding the system. The dropship's engines roared to life. Ethan, what the hell are you doing? Rise shouted. He grinned. Something stupid. Then, with a burst of speed, he launched the dropship straight toward the mothership. Lasers streaked past as Zifron fighters tried to intercept him. Explosions rocked the ship, alarms screaming in his ears. Come on, hold together. Ethan gritted his teeth, dodging enemy fire as the mothership's hangar bay loomed ahead. At the last second, he bailed out, tumbling onto the platform as the dropship crashed inside, erupting in flames. He was in. Ethan sprinted through the alien corridors, taking down any Zifron soldiers in his path. He was one man against an army, but he only needed to reach one target, the reactor core. Finally, he reached it, a massive chamber of swirling blue energy powering the entire fleet. Destroy it, and the mothership would fall. A deep growl echoed behind him. Ethan turned, his heart sinking. The Zifron warlord stood there. 8 feet of armored fury, plasma axes in each hand, eyes burning with cold hatred. Human, it snarled. Your defiance ends here. Ethan clenched his fists. You aliens talk too much. Then, the final fight began. Ethan barely had time to react before the Zifron warlord charged, its plasma axes slicing through the air. He rolled sideways, dodging the first strike, but the second grazed his shoulder, burning through his armor. Pain flared, but he didn't stop. The reactor core hummed behind him, unstable and exposed. This was his only chance. If he could destroy it, the entire mothership would go down. The warlord lunged again, swinging both axes at once. Ethan ducked. Then, using every ounce of strength left in his battered body, he launched himself forward, tackling the alien with full force. They crashed into a control console, sparks flying everywhere. The warlord roared, grabbing Ethan by the throat and lifting him off the ground. You are nothing, it growled. Your species will be erased. Ethan struggled, his vision darkening. His fingers grazed something on his belt, his last explosive charge. With the last of his strength, he activated it and slammed it against the warlord's chest. Not today. Boom! The explosion sent both of them flying. The warlord slammed against the reactor core, its armor melting from the blast. Ethan hit the ground hard, coughing as smoke filled the chamber. The core flashed violently. It was going critical. Ethan staggered to his feet. He had seconds to escape. He sprinted for the exit, his body screaming in protest. The ship's alarms blared, red lights flashing as explosions rippled through the structure. Ethan, do you copy? Raya's voice shouted in his earpiece. The mothership's losing power. What did you do? Ethan grinned weakly. Something reckless. He wasn't going to make it. Then, a familiar dropship swooped into the hangar, its side door open. Get in, Reyes yelled. Ethan leaped. For a split second, he thought he wouldn't make it. Then strong hands grabbed him, pulling him aboard. The moment he was inside, the dropship accelerated away, racing through the collapsing mothership. Outside, the sky lit up like a second sun as the reactor finally detonated. The Zifron mothership imploded, its wreckage raining down like falling stars. Humanity had won. Ethan slumped against the wall, exhausted but alive. Rice clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You did it." Ethan exhaled, watching the burning remains of the enemy fleet vanish into the atmosphere. "Yeah," he said, "but they'll be back." Rice smirked. "Then we'll be ready."